Jeholosaurus. Jeholosaurus is a genus of ornithischian dinosaur from the early Cretaceous period. It is thought to have been a herbivorous small ornithopod. History of discovery. The first two Jeholosaurus specimens were found in 2000 at Lujiachun near Beipiao City, Liaoning Province, China, and named and described the same year by Xu Xing, Wang Shoulin, and Yu Hailu. The type and only known species is Jeholosaurus shaguanensis. The generic name Jeholosaurus means lizard from Jehol. Jehol is the name of a historical province situated in western Liaoning and northern Hebei. The specific name refers to the geographical area of Shagyuan where the fossil site is located. The type specimen of Jeholosaurus, on which the genus is based, is IVPPV 12529. It was found in a layer of the early Yixian Formation, dating from the early Aptian, about 126 million years old. The layers consist of fluvial sandstone interspersed with tuff, and it is thought that an enormous volcanic eruption occurred burying everything within a 50 to 60 mile radius. The holotype contains a compressed skull and a partial postcranial skeleton. The second specimen, IVPPV 12530, was referred to the species. It consists of a better preserved, perhaps smaller, skull and some neck vertebrae. Both specimens represent juvenile or at least subadult individuals. Description. Size. Jeholosaurus was a small bipedal herbivore. Because the specimens are juvenile, it is hard to ascertain the adult size. The holotype is 71.1 centimeters, 28.0 in, long with a 35.6 centimeters, 14.0 in, long tail, nearly half the length of the complete animal. The length of the skull is 6.3 centimeters, 2.5 in, and the lower jaws of the mandible are 5.9 centimeters, 2.3 in, each. The forelimbs are 25.4 centimeters, 10.0 in, long, and the hind limbs are 33 centimeters, 13 in. The femur is 9 centimeters, 3.5 in, long, and the tibia is 10.7 centimeters, 4.2 in. Anatomy. Both skulls are incomplete and had to be partially restored. The referred specimen shows an extremely large orbit compared to the skull size, with a length of 40% of the total skull length. Its snout is short, also comprising 40% of the skull length. Both traits are indicative of a juvenile individual. The premaxilla has 6 teeth and the maxilla has at least 13 teeth. Although the back, maxillary, teeth are fan-shaped like those of a plant eater, the front premaxillary teeth are narrower and longer, more like a carnivorous dinosaur. This may mean that Jeholosaurus was omnivorous, eating both plants and animals. The deeply inset ventral margin in the maxilla suggests fleshy cheeks may have been present. The nasals have large foramina dorsolaterally and a midline fossa. No palpebrae are preserved. Though cervical vertebrae and caudal vertebrae have been preserved, their exact number is unknown. The femur is bowed and has an anterior trochanter slightly lower than the greater trochanter and a third as narrow as the latter. They are separated by a shallow cleft. Between the condyles of the lower femur, the anterior extensor groove is absent. The fourth trochanter is pendant and located in a rather high position. The foot has 4 metatarsals. The longest is metatarsal 3 with a length of 5.5 centimeters, 2.2 in. It is placed more anteriorly than the other metatarsals. Metatarsal I is more posterior and its upper part is transversely reduced to a slant. Some distinguishing traits of Jeholosaurus include enlarged laterodorsal nasal foramina, a quadradigital fenestra more than 25% maximum quadradigital length, a quadradigital less than 30% of skull height, a predentary with almost 150% of premaxillary body length, a dentary extending posteriorly almost to the posterior border of the angular, and the claw of the third toe being longer than the other third toe phalanges. Phylogeny. Jeholosaurus is an ornithischian, as is shown by its ornithischian 4-pronged pelvic structure with a pubis bone pointing downward and backwards, parallel to the ischium, while a forward-pointing propubic process supports the abdomen. The describers did not assign Jeholosaurus to any family, limiting themselves to a placement as Ornithischia incerticetus. Using the comparative method, they pointed out some similarities to basal Ornithopoda, a small antorbital fenestra, the foramen on the quadradigical, a large quadratic foramen, and the absence of an external fenestra in the lower jaw. However, they also noticed more derived ornithopod traits, such as the form of the greater and anterior trochanter of the thigh bone. Although the premaxilla not reaching the lacrimal, the high jaw joint and the premaxilla being on the same level as the maxilla, were again basal traits. The fused mandibular symphysis might indicate a relation with the marginocephalia. Very basal ornithischian traits included the presence of 6 teeth in the premaxilla with only a short toothless sector in front and a short hiatus with the maxillary teeth. Later cladistic analyses have recovered a basal position in the EU Ornithopoda. The following cladogram was based on analysis by Makovic et al., 2011. The following cladogram was based on analysis by Jung and colleagues in 2009. Han et al. Found a similar topology to that of Makovic et al., 2011, in 2012, with a clade composed of Jeholosaurus, Haya, and Changchunsaurus. They named this clade Jeholosauridae. The cladogram below results from analysis by Hearn et al., 2019.